We spam the shutter, taking 40 near-identical shots, and then spend hours dragging digital sliders to find a look that feels right. Usually, the issue isn't a lack of technical skill. It's that we've lost the ability to actually look at what we're shooting. To fix that, we have to look at a 1994 assignment designed to be as boring and as difficult as possible. No amount of AI or post-processing can recover visual data that your own eye failed to perceive in the first place. In 1994, photography was taught through a traditional master-apprentice system. There were no instant previews, only the slow, deliberate work of the film era. A new apprentice expected to be sent out for epic landscapes or street scenes. Instead, the master gave him a single, unremarkable object. The assignment? Photograph a white egg against a white background. This setup removes every standard shortcut our brains use to recognize objects. When you take away color and high contrast, the boundary between the subject and the world around it disappears. Capturing this image requires navigating 3 technical gates. The first involves how a camera understands light. This gray card represents the baseline for every camera sensor. A light meter is hardwired to assume that everything it sees should be averaged down to this exact 18% middle gray. Point that sensor at a white-on-white scene, and the camera darkens the frame into a muddy smudge. You must manually overexpose to keep the white white, but push it a fraction too far, highlights clip, and subtle textures vanish. You have to find the razor's edge, the exact point where the whites are bright, but the details are still visible. The second gate is lighting. You have to create separation between 2 objects that are the same color and the same brightness. Standard front lighting makes the egg melt into the backdrop. Backlighting turns it into a black silhouette. The solution is side lighting. By bringing the light in at a sharp, oblique angle, you create a gradient that slowly wraps around the curve of the egg. In this environment, the egg's outline doesn't actually exist. Its physical presence is defined entirely by the shadow it casts. Finally, there is the focus. To keep the entire curve sharp, you have to use a tiny aperture, like f11. That lets in so little light that you must lock the camera onto a tripod to prevent blur. In 1994, there were no screens for instant feedback. You committed to your settings by manually turning these physical dials. You adjusted the rings, set the focus, and fired the shutter without any visual proof that you were right. You had to wait days for a lab to develop these film strips. If you miscalculated by even a hair, you wouldn't know until you'd already wasted the time and money. This friction forced the photographer to build the entire image, the exposure, the shadows, the gradients, inside their own mind before they ever touched the shutter. The egg is a tool for seeing, not a test of hardware. Dials and apertures are secondary. If you cannot perceive how light creeps across a white surface, all the technical mastery in the world is useless. 30 years later, the lesson is clear. Technical skills can be memorized in a few days, but the eye is a muscle that must be fed through thousands of hours of observation. Perception grows only when you remove the crutches and modern distractions doing the seeing for you. This process of stripping away complexity reveals a pattern for mastering any skill. If you can't manage a single variable, you can't manage 100 of them. To improve your craft, you have to peel back the flowery techniques and the AI shortcuts. Isolate the most foundational variable of what you do, the one thing everything else relies on. Stare at it until you understand it. Look back at your own career. What was your personal white egg? Describe that one tedious foundational drill that you now realize supports everything else you do. Share it with us in the comments.